Leif Erikson. Now, that name, it might ring a bell, right? But what if I told you his story completely flips the script on one of the most famous facts in history? I'm talking about the story of who really discovered America.
We all know the rhyme from school. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The Niña, Pinta, and Santa María, they're legendary ships. But just look at this other ship, this incredible Viking longship. It was helmed by a Norse explorer who hit the shores of a new world long, long before Columbus was even a thought.
And when I say long before, I mean long before. We're talking about a European setting foot on continental America about half a millennium earlier. So that leaves us with some big questions, doesn't it? How do we know this for sure? And why isn't this the story we all learn first?
Well, the first clues don't come from some captain's log or a royal decree. Nope, they come from these amazing Icelandic sagas. These are epic stories written down around the year 1200 that tell these incredible tales of Norse voyages across the brutal North Atlantic. Okay, so here's the catch, and this was the big challenge for historians. These sagas are absolutely incredible pieces of literature, but they're not perfect step-by-step historical records. They're filled with amazing detail, but sometimes the details in one saga don't quite line up with another.
Let's look at the two main versions of the story. In one, the saga of Erik the Red, Leif's discovery is basically pure luck. A massive storm blows his ship way off course, and he just stumbles upon this new land. But then you have the saga of the Greenlanders, and it's a totally different tale. In that one, he hears a story about a mysterious coast seen by another sailor, buys that guy's ship, and then intentionally goes looking for it. So, was it an accident or a planned mission? The sagas give us both options.
And you can literally see the legend taking shape right here. This is the Hauksbok, one of the oldest manuscripts that has the saga in it. And right there, you can see the Old Norse words, Leif hinn heppni, which means Leif the Lucky. It's a nickname he picked up, either for his incredible accidental find or for rescuing some shipwrecked sailors on his way home.
So we have these incredible, centuries-old stories. But, to actually rewrite history, you need more than just a really good story. You need cold, hard proof. So how did this legend finally become an accepted fact?
And this was the huge question that just hung in the air for hundreds and hundreds of years. Were these sagas just awesome myths, like stories about dragons and trolls? Or were they faint echoes of something that actually happened? Then, in the 1960s, everything, and I mean everything, changed. A husband and wife archaeology team, Helge and Anstein Ingstad, followed the breadcrumbs in the sagas to this exact spot, Lanzo Meadows, on the northern tip of Newfoundland, Canada. And what they found there, it wasn't a myth. It was the physical remains of a real Norse settlement.
This timeline just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? It's kind of staggering. Around the year 1000, boom, Norse Vikings are building houses in North America. Almost 500 years go by before Columbus even shows up. And then it takes another 500 years, all the way to 1960, for modern science to finally dig up the proof and confirm that the old stories were true all along.
So what did Leif even call this new place? Well, the sagas say he named it Vinland, which means wineland. The story goes that his foster father, a guy named Turkur, wandered off and came back totally overjoyed because he'd found wild grapes. And for Vikings, grapes meant wine, an absolute luxury when you're that far from home. All right, so we've got proof of the voyage, but what about the man himself? Who exactly was this Leif Erikson? You gotta understand, Leif was basically born into a life of exploration and, well, getting kicked out of places. His grandpa got banished from Norway. His own father, the legendary Erik the Red, got banished from Iceland and then went on to found the first European settlement in Greenland. So Leif was raised on the absolute edge of the known world. The sagas describe him as this strong, wise, and thoughtful leader, exactly the kind of guy built to sail into the unknown. And there's another really fascinating layer to his story. Leif had actually converted to Christianity while he was visiting the King of Norway. So according to some of the sagas, his journey west wasn't just about exploration. He was also on a mission from the king to bring this new faith back home to the Greenland settlers. For centuries, Leif's story was kinda just a historical footnote. But in the modern era, especially in America, his legacy has taken on this powerful new life. See, as Nordic immigrants came to the United States, they brought Leif's story with them, and it became this huge source of pride and identity. You can see it in monuments like this one, put up right at the Minnesota State Capitol back in 1949.
And from the Midwest, this remembrance spread all over the country. Here he is in Seattle, looking out over the water, a perfect symbol of that spirit of exploration and pushing westward.
And his legacy is totally international. This amazing statue is in Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, where he was probably born. But get this, it was actually a gift from the United States to celebrate the 1000th anniversary of Iceland's parliament. Pretty cool, huh? And the recognition became official, legit, in 1964. The U.S. Congress authorized a president to declare October 9th as Leif Erikson Day every single year. The date wasn't picked for his voyage, but to honor the day the first organized group of Norwegian immigrants landed in New York, way back in 1825.
This famous painting from 1893, it really captures that whole romantic idea of discovery, right? The windswept hero pointing towards a new world. It's a powerful image, but it also makes you think about how we tell these stories about our past.
We always hear that phrase, history is written by the victors. But the saga of Leif Erikson, it shows us that sometimes older pages can be rediscovered, forcing us to rethink the entire book. It's not just about who got there first, it's about whose story gets told and why. It really makes you wonder, whose stories are we still missing?